everyone. Come on in because we are here to talk about a special video, y'all. I am coming back to do a follow-up on my Married to Medicine Cecil versus Simone video. I don't know if any of you guys caught the last video I did when I was telling Simone, girl, save yourself. Save yourself. In fact, I did another video for Love and Marriage Huntsville, and I told Kimmy the same thing. Save yourself. Because what we have is we have two women begging and pleading for other people to stop doing something so that they can feel comfortable, so they can feel good. And I said, especially when I said with Kimmy, with Maurice, I was talking about how selfish Maurice is. And I said, it's really difficult. It's going to be very difficult for you, Kimmy, to make Maurice give up something in which he's doing for himself that he wants just because of your feelings, because he's a selfish person. That's what I said. Now, Cecil, on the other hand, when we look at Cecil, what's the problem with Cecil? Cecil's been what we call underemployed. Some people say he's unemployed. I'm going to give him a break, and I'm going to say that Cecil has been underemployed for almost 10 years since we've been on here. Ever since Cecil lost that IT job, he ain't never been the same. Never been the same. But I would never have before said that I might have thought that Cecil was selfish. I mean, we all do selfish things. We do things like that. But I never really put Cecil in that category. So when you watch Simone and this dilemma she has with Cecil and these boys running her dry, I didn't really understand why Cecil was taking the position he was taking with the boys. I didn't understand it. I just knew I didn't like it. I just knew that it was wrong. I just knew that why is Simone wasting her time begging and pleading people not to take her money? She should just stop giving her money. But I never really understood why Cecil didn't back up Simone. You know what I mean? I mean, some people were talking about, oh, he's jealous of Simone, this and that. He resents Simone. And I'm not saying elements of that may not exist in their marriage. But I didn't know if that was really like the total motivation. But, I left it alone. I wasn't digging, whatever. I don't need to have answers to all my questions. But all of a sudden, y'all, I watched this next episode and I saw a clip and I saw a part of the show. And I'm going to play it for you because once I saw this, the light bulb went off in my head and I said, now I see it. Now I see it.
Our parents worked their hands to the bone so we wouldn't be in the same situation as them. So we would have more money so that our boys don't have to stand in the financial aid line like I stood for 3 hours at Morehouse to get my loan. And when I came up, I said, you know what? My boys will never stand in financial aid. That's something that I'm gonna make sure of that. Because that's the way we're supposed to be moving as black people. We get so caught up that we struggled. We struggled, so we all gotta struggle, and we're gonna have to struggle forever. We grew up in the same household. I feel you. But the one thing that you're not catching on, your wife is amazing, and you can't discount. It's not the thing. That's what I'm saying. You've been saying, I'm not gonna do this, and we got the money. The only way you can say we got the money is we got to agree. You understand the stakes here. Miles and Michael gonna be all right. Y'all talk to them. But you gotta make sure that you're staying conscious of your wife, checking the temperature. No, because she gotta be here, man. You're right.
After I saw this, I said, Cecil, for real, this is what we're dealing with. I don't know what you call, I don't know how to say what it is Cecil got going on, but it's a whole lot of shame surrounding his financial upbringing along with his family's upbringing. And the reason why he can't see any way to help Simone is because what Cecil is doing is healing his own pain, his own trauma. I said this when I was talking about Kim and Maurice. And I've often said that when you are up against another person, and a lot of people, let's say you have opposite positions, just like Cecil and Simone, it's not enough to try to make that person feel sorry for you. And people can empathize with you, but when you're asking that person to do more than empathize, you're asking them to basically take a bullet for you. You're asking them to give up everything that they want for you. Now, most people say, well, that's what you should do for your husband or your wife. But husbands and wives, they're people too. And when I saw this video with Cecil, when I looked at the hurt and the trauma that he seems to still be carrying over what I believe he thinks was shame associated with having to get financial aid in order to go to Morehouse College, I said, there it is. There it is. You see, Cecil wants to pretend like he's giving his boys all this money to not do anything just because he loves his boys and because he doesn't want to see his boys struggle. No, Cecil, that's not what you're doing. That is not what you're doing. What you're doing is every time you see your boys struggle, what it does, it reminds you of your own pain. You see, I think Cecil grew up rather poor. I know he's from LA, South LA, like y'all know, I'm from LA. And this is what I think about Cecil. I think Cecil's family, his mother worked hard, like he said, she worked her fingers to the bone to send him, I don't know if his brother went there too, to prestigious Morehouse College. Well, when Cecil got to Morehouse, what he realized was that at Morehouse, there were a lot of people who went to that college who are second, third, fourth generation college students, which means they didn't come to school in poor. But what I believe happened to Cecil is that when he got to Morehouse and he got to see the diversity of Black people, that all Black people are not from poor backgrounds, I think he was embarrassed. I think he was embarrassed. Just like he said, standing in that financial aid line for hours, what's the big deal? It is a big deal if you're embarrassed. It is a big deal if you are a few, which you believe, are amongst the few that are on financial aid because everyone else's parents are paying a lot of full ride. Now, of course, we know that Cecil couldn't have been the only person on financial aid. And we're going to get to this shame around financial aid because I actually think that's ridiculous. But this goes back to how Cecil has become who he is. Somewhere along the way, Cecil determined what making it looks like. Like, you've made it. Like he just said, my mother worked her fingers to the bone so that we could provide a life so that our kids would never have to stand in the line for financial aid. I got a lot to say about it. a lot to say about it. First of all, Cecil, let me let you know something. It's actually not good financial advice to turn down grants, scholarships, or even loans for college. Because here's the thing, Cecil. This is why I know Cecil's decision is totally emotional. It has nothing to do with logic. What it has to do with is if his boys had to get financial aid, what he looks at that as a bad reflection on him. He's made this whole situation about his boys, giving his boys money. It has nothing to do with Simone. It actually, in a lot of ways, isn't fully even about his boys. It's about him. Because what he's saying is, if my boys have to be on financial aid, that means I failed. I'm not successful. So here's the thing, Cecil. First of all, actually, you aren't successful. Your wife is. Your wife, you might have had a job, which is fine. But if you really look like, are you successful? Have you had a successful career? Not really. You've had a job. Your wife is very successful. But you see, once again, here he is. Here he is. He's saying we are successful. Even his brother had to tell him, you using a whole lot of I talking about what you are. The truth of the matter is, like his brother said, man, you're not successful. Your wife is. But in his eyes, Cecil's eyes, if his boys had to stand in financial aid, I think Cecil would feel like a failure. I think Cecil would feel like a failure. And the truth of the matter is, why the heck wouldn't I get financial aid for college? It doesn't mean, Cecil, that after your children graduate and now all of a sudden they need to start paying on those loans, that you don't decide to say, okay, now that you've graduated from law school, you've got your degree, you've passed the bar, I'm willing to help you pay off those loans. But why would you turn down the loan? You see, Cecil is equating financial aid with being poor, but that's not what it means for most people. Because you know what, building wealth 101 is about using other people's money. So why the heck wouldn't I use the government's money for financial aid? I mean, what's the interest rate on student loans? 7%? 7%? So you want me to take my cash out of the stock market or other places where it's earning 20% or more or 15%, right? And you want me to remove that high interest rate it's earning, and instead you want me to put all that money just so you could feel good about not getting financial aid? This is what I'm saying. It makes no logical sense. This is all emotional. This comes from his own shame of how he felt when he had to stand in the financial aid line. And if his kids have to do it, he would feel like a failure. Like I said, so why Simone is sitting here begging and pleading these boys and Cecil to consider her. This goes back to what I told Simone. You better save yourself. Because Cecil is too busy trying to heal his own childhood wounds. He can't think about your suffering because your suffering is no different from his mama's suffering. So that his mama suffered for him. You hear what I'm saying? His mama worked herself to the bones for his good. And right now, he wants you to work your fingers to the bone, Simone, for his goods. He's trying to tell you he wants you to work your fingers to the bone for your boys. But it's worse than that. This is not about the boys. This is about Cecil trying to have a life in which he's redeemed. His whole life means something, right? Because now he can say, I grew up and I didn't have to pass this shame on to my boys. The problem with Cecil's dream is that he wasn't actually the one that is really responsible for his children to maybe not even have to be on financial aid. That's the real problem, Cecil. You're solving your problem, but really it's not coming through your own hands. It's coming through Simone's hands. And that's why I tell Simone, you can sit here and keep waiting for Cecil to decide that your feelings are more important than his healing. And I don't think it's going to happen. That's why I say, save yourself. All this talk about Black people think we should struggle and we're passing on the struggle to our kids. Getting along ain't struggling. Getting along is good. That's why we develop credit. The reason we take care of our credit is so that we could borrow money and use other people's money and let our cash go to other places to earn income. You see? So forget about this. See, Cecil is trying to use some gaslighting on people, telling you that by you not paying cash for law school, which who knows could cost another $100,000, right? For a 2-year law school, that you not paying that $100,000 is because you too entrenched in the Black struggle. No, that's not what that means. That means that I know how to let my money make money, and I'm not spending it. I'm not giving up 20% in the stock market so that I can avoid a 6% loan with deferred payments for another 2 to 3 years. Give me a break, Cecil. Like I said, Cecil's knowledge, opinion, point of view is purely based on emotion. None of it has to do with logic. It's all to protect the shame he felt when he was young, college boy, going to Morehouse College, which a lot of kids went to that had rich parents. And Cecil was the poor one at the college. And he remembers the shame. So now here's his chance to feel important. That's probably why Cecil didn't even go out. That's probably why Cecil didn't even go out and get another job after that IT job, because probably in Cecil's eyes, success means being an entrepreneur. You can't go to a 9-to-5 job. If you go to a 9-to-5 job, you're not as successful. You see, Cecil couldn't even humble himself to go back to a 9-to-5 job because Cecil has determined in his mind that what success looks like is no financial aid and you're an entrepreneur. So now he looks down on both. But instead, what he's willing to do is have Simone, aka his second mama, work her fingers to the bone so he can feel successful. Get this straight, Cecil. I see you. This idea of not making your boys work for nothing is not about you coddling your boys. It's not. This is about a statement about you. About you. Because what you want to say is, when my boys don't have to get a loan, I look good. It's healing my trauma. That means I've done better. And you're doing it at the expense of Simone. Simone, stop all that yelling and screaming, asking for Cecil to understand you, to give you a break, to relieve you of your duties, your financial duties, and give yourself the break, right? Give yourself the break. Stop waiting on other people to deliver your happiness, because a lot of people are not going to be able to deliver your happiness, because by delivering happiness to you, what they would have to do is take away their own happiness. And a lot of people are not willing to do that. They're not willing to do that. Like I said, stop begging and pleading with people before we can be happy in our lives. Exert your power and the control over your own life. And then if Cecil wants to prove the fact that all his mother's hard work paid off to the point that now he's successful because he doesn't have to work a 9 to 5 and his boys don't need to get no financial aid, then what he can do is he can go out and earn that money and make that dream come true. But he doesn't get to sit around and have you, Simone, be the one that delivers him from his childhood trauma. No, fix yourself, Cecil, because right now you asking your wife to fix you. Fix yourself. Anyway, that's all I got, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.